Hey, just a quick heads up, everybody. We had a little bit of technical difficulty recording this episode, and Michelle's side of the recording is going to sound a little bit different to you than it usually does. It's still very listenable. I don't think you're going to have any trouble understanding the conversation. Just wanted to make sure you know that it's not anything going on with your equipment or anything. We'll make sure everything is back to normal for the next episode. Thank you for checking us out. Here you go.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of We Watch Shudder. My name is Michelle, and who's here with me?
It's JD. Hello.
It's JD. It's always JD, and
Every
it's
single
always
time.
Michelle.
Always.
We are the two. We are the we of We Watch Shudder. So, hello.
Two who are as
Welcome.
one. You ever see that movie,
Two.
Sorceress?
Nope.
Oh, God, Michelle, I'm going to have to introduce you to this at some point, but let's not get off track this early
Every
on
time
in the
you
episode.
say that, I wind up hating it, though.
Oh, yeah, this is a totally different kind of I have to introduce you to this, I promise.
Oh, no. Okay. We'll see.
Yeah, you've said that before, too.
I currently have Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan pause, so...
Oh, nice. How far into it are you?
Halfway-ish, and he is not in Manhattan.
Nope.
Title is a lie.
No,
like,
he
this
sure
is all
isn't.
about Manhattan. Here's all these opening shots of Manhattan. Just kidding. It's about a lake.
A river, actually. I mean, yeah, it's sort of like
I'm so sorry that I got my body of water mistaken in this movie about a man who drowned when he was a child and now wears a hockey mask.
And has his rotten spine sticking out of his back. Yeah, that's pretty great.
I prefer Jason X. I can tell you that for sure.
So what we do, guys, is we watch Shudder. That's why the show is called We Watch Shudder. We talk about
Sometimes we watch bad 80s movies.
Yeah, we watch a lot of stuff, guys, and that's going to play into the future of our show. Well, we'll talk about that some other time. Anyway, we watch original and exclusive new releases from Shudder. They put out a whole bunch of them. When they don't have a new release, we talk about older movies that they've released and sometimes other things. As it turns out, there is a new movie this week. What's it called, Michelle?
Night of the Hunted.
Night of the Hunted, not to be confused with Night of the Hunter, which was, I believe, remade as... Wait, what is the connection between Night of the Hunter and Cape Fear? I can't get down this rabbit hole. Save us, Michelle.
I was going to say, no, we're not doing that. Night of the Hunted. We are solely talking about this 2023 movie without any other outside influences being brought into it, because then we will go down a rabbit hole. So just the 2023.
Right, so not to be confused with the 1980 French film of the same name, The Night of the Hunted.
Okay, well, we're talking about it. Should I read the Shudder description?
Yeah, why don't you do that? Tell these people what this movie is about.
Yeah, okay, so, Night of the Hunted. When Alice stops at a remote gas station at night, she's made the plaything of a crazy sniper with a secret vendetta. To survive, she must figure out who wants her dead. Night of the Hunted, a Shudder original.
Night of the Hunted.
Would you like to hit us with your spoiler-free thoughts?
Yeah,
Oh no.
This is a hard movie to talk about, because... What?
Nothing. I'm a joke.
I think the people who made this movie had the best of intentions. And I think what they intended, what they attempted, is a very far cry from what they achieved. This is a real hard movie to talk about without getting into the spoilers, so that's about the best I can tell you. And because my skull ratings are always about my experience with the film and not necessarily a reflection of think it's well made. I think there are some good things in here, but there are other things that are just like, oof, guys, ugh. And you'll understand, but I don't know, because I do think the intention was good. I don't think this was meant to be exploitational to any degree, and because there are things in it that I thought were really effective. 3 skulls.
Oh, after all that, I expected it to be way lower. Are you comfortable with a three?
Uh,
Are you being true to your heart? NSYNC had a song about that. Would Justin Timberlake approve of a three?
well, I don't know, Michelle. I think I'm gonna. I
Okay,
literally just got done watching this movie. Maybe I should reserve my rating of this until after we're able to discuss it, because I
we
literally
can
just got
revisit.
done with it like 10 minutes ago, and so because again, man,
We'll revisit. This is one that we will
yeah,
come back to talk
yeah.
about the rating. The reason I'm pushing back on your three is because I landed on the side of a three, but I don't think that I disliked it as much as it sounds like you did. It was just a story that I've heard before. And again, like you said, there's a lot that I can't talk about without getting
Didn't
into
yeah.
spoiler territory. I waffled as well.
No, well, and I think the reason I'm coming down on a 3, at least in my initial examination, is, like I said, I want to be like, I didn't dislike everything here. There are large chunks of this movie that I think are really effective and really well done, and then there are these parts where people
We're
talk
in
about
agreement.
things.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement. Let's go ahead and get into the spoiler
Yeah,
section. I really just want to dig in. So, listener, if you're out there and you want to see this movie before we tell you what happens, you should probably go do that. What are you doing
yeah.
here, you silly goose, Jenna?
Uh,
Jenna has specifically requested that I stop calling her out for listening to the episodes before watching the movie because lately she has been taking our advice and pausing and going to watch the movie when it
Good.
sounds like something she'd like. So,
I do want
congrats
to
to
point
Jenna.
out
I will call you
uh,
out less.
something that I did want to make sure to point out before we get into the spoiler section here. I think it's important also to note that so far as horror content, this is
Mm,
this is very
horror
horror
adjacent.
adjacent, right? There's
Yes.
violence in this. There is some startling stuff. But from a horror sort of like fear perspective, I think you might be like it doesn't go into real deep sort of. I think more people will be able to handle this than necessarily might think they can, is what I'm trying to say.
You're correct. It is
Yeah,
not very horror-y. It
right.
is horror adjacent.
Man, it's violent. Holy shit.
Well, let's talk about the violence in the spoiler section, which we are now
Yes.
officially in. You have
Night
had
of the
your opportunity.
Hunted, written and
Night of the
directed
Hunted.
by Frank Calhoun, is a French fella.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a quick summary.
Do
There's
it.
a lady. Her name's Alice. She is having an affair with her coworker, and she's going to a fertility clinic, and the coworker is driving her there. And then he runs out of gas, so they stop at a gas station, but she's not finding an employee. And then it turns out there's blood everywhere, so she knows something's up. And then she gets shot in the arm, so now she really knows something's up. And then her coworker walks in, and he's dead now. So yep, something's definitely up. Something is going on. And then it turns out that there's an emotional vampire on the other side of a walkie talkie, and he wants to talk to her about all his life's problems because he doesn't have a diary or a therapist. He should probably get both. And instead of either of those, he kills people until the tables are turned and Alice kills him and his head goes squish in front of a little child who will definitely not be damaged forever by that. The end.
The emotional vampire on the other end of the
Ugh,
walkie-talkie fucking broke me. Oh my
good.
god, Michelle. Before we go
Needed.
any further, I do
Ugh.
have to say, your uh, sort of impromptu plot summaries of these movies is very quickly becoming possibly my favorite part of this podcast
Okay.
that we do. um,
God.
Yeah, that.
Cannot tell me that man is not Colin Robinson. With
Oh
him, I
God.
have finally learned enough that I stopped calling him Colin Peterson. It took me
Yeah.
so long.
This.
He is such a Colin Robinson.
So yeah, let's. I mean, let's get right into it. Here's what
Mhm.
I'm gonna guess. Well, I guess from your description there, it's kind of obvious. So when this movie is like crazy thriller, violent action, and it's doing that part of what it is, I really enjoy this. So
Same.
there's a lot of
Yep.
like it. I think effectively creates, at least in my mind, the feeling of what it would be like to be at a gas station in the middle of the night out in the middle of nowhere and suddenly some dude just starts fucking sniping at you, right? I thought that was all really good. But oh, those dialogue segments over the walkie-talkie, Michelle.
Yep.
Oh, and so
Yep.
tell me, give me your impression of these characters. And I think what I want to ask you is just overall, like, what do you think this movie was trying to say?
Yeah. So, there's obviously two really big characters. That would be Alice and the emotional vampire who is trying to shoot her. And so Alice is off the bat not really likable. We don't know a lot about her except that she is cheating on her boyfriend or something along those lines and kind of unashamed about it. And then she has no other personality traits. So then when she starts getting shot at and she's making kind of frustrating decisions, it just kind of goes downhill of like, oh my God, I don't know this lady. All I know is that she has an affair partner and now she's driving me crazy with the way that she is trying to survive in this situation. So we don't really get to know anything. And then unfortunately, with only those two things as our kind of introduction, it's just kind of like, okay, well, I'm not really rooting for you, except I am rooting against anybody who decides to snipe people in a gas station. So I guess we're on the same side. And then the guy on the walkie-talkie, all of that beginning part, even though it was a movie where I was like, I'm gonna have to be okay with people making dumb decisions. I just have to be okay with that. And also, this is not like a brand new concept. So if I can get over those things, I'm fine. And there's a guy on the walkie-talkie, which she completely believes is this dude's husband. And come on, lady, have you never seen a horror movie? Are you not watching this horror adjacent film that we're watching you in? Because,
Before before
well,
we move past that, because this
mhm.
was a legitimate moment. Oh, excuse me. While I was watching that scene when she finds the walkie-talkie and starts talking to them, I was literally in the process of typing and preparing to send you a message that said, if it turns out that this dude on the walkie-talkie is the guy shooting at her and she didn't immediately assume that, I'm going to be so mad. And literally as
Yeah.
I was typing it is when he reveals to her, like, I was so worried they were going to try and play that walkie-talkie thing out through the entire movie, or that was going to be a big part of, like, what's going on here. And I was like,
Hmm.
I like 3 lines into this guy talking to her, and I'm like, this is definitely the dude with the gun on the billboard.
Yeah, he's saying too much that she hasn't
Yeah,
revealed to him. Like, oh, you're there with this guy. Like, she never said that to him. And so I think it's like very
yeah,
apparent to us at least. And maybe they were
right.
trying to be clever in letting us in on it, but instead it was frustrating.
Yeah,
And
and I
so
I do
all of the
think though,
first.
Michelle, when
Mhm.
we talk about frustrating behavior, I do think to a certain extent, I understand some of it because I don't know how clear thinking I would be if I was in a gas station at the middle of the night and all of a sudden somebody started taking pot shots at me out of nowhere. I would probably make some real dumb decisions, is all I'm saying.
Would you think that a person speaking very calmly to you on a walkie-talkie next to a woman's dead body was probably that woman's husband?
I don't know what I would think. I think I would be too terrified
You're
to.
giving Alice too much credit.
Maybe
Frustrating.
continue.
Frustrating. Especially because later on she's supposed to be like very innovative in how she's trying to get out of this situation, but she makes a lot of bad mistakes at the beginning, like trying to use her hands to reach out and grab her phone instead of like grabbing a broom or something, something like that could extend and wait so that he doesn't see you actively going for the phone and have time. So lots of frustrating stuff. And I really like the beginning of this once I get past that. And like, this isn't going to be a brand new, innovative thing that I'm going to be 100% like fully in love with. And I've accepted that there will be things that I dislike about it. So all of that said, then it just turns into this guy talking, giving her so many reasons. And at the end, it's clear that they did want this to be ambiguous. And like the reason doesn't really matter. We never know the real reason, but it's just not fun to listen to. It wasn't exciting. I was like, this guy just thinks that he's really exciting. I've dated these dudes. I'm not interested in listening to them killing women in a gas station. It was a lot.
Yeah, and that was a big part of where this movie went awry for me. Is a complex combination of factors. I think, um, because like I'm listening to this guy talk, and he starts talking like within two sentences, you're like, okay, he's this crazy MAGA Tea Party Proud Boys whatever kind of dude. Uh, but then also like out of nowhere, he also starts talking about like leftist anti-capitalist sort of like giant anti-giant corporation rhetoric and that sort of thing, and it's like, okay, well, like what if the point that I was supposed to take from this is that, oh, we can't just make assumptions about somebody from assumptions about their whole character from individual things about them, and we can't think that we know their entire story. Okay, cool, but this is it also deals then with very current, very specific modern issues, and my problem with that argument is exactly what it has been for a long, long time, which is that there are certain things about a person where once you know them, frankly, I don't give a shit what the rest of their like, you know what I mean? Like, there are certain things that exist on another, and I just didn't know, like, if I was supposed to sympathize with this guy or just flat out hate him. And I feel like the movie was trying to say something bigger and making a point that I just personally don't agree with. I don't think
Yeah.
necessarily what the movie was trying to say with that character is just something that I'm on board with at all.
I mean, I kind of agree with you that at a certain point, I'm just not going to like a person regardless of anything else. Like if they're sitting on a billboard shooting people in a gas station, I'm
Right,
probably not going to be on board.
right.
That's one of those characteristics where I'm like, oh, we can't be friends. This
Yeah,
isn't good.
but it also
Um,
seemed like a certain amount of like, oh, there's good and bad on both sides, and
oh,
both
I know
sides
exactly
are
what
the
you were saying.
same, and
I
it's
was
just like,
attempting to make a joke.
yeah, no, and so I just I don't know, I
Oh,
those parts of it just took me out so completely that I had, like, again, when it's just playing as a tense thriller about a wild situation that you might suddenly find yourself in. I really actually enjoyed it. I thought, I think, like you said, not reinventing the wheel in any way at all, but really effectively done. I just, and I think, again, I don't think they were doing anything malicious here, right? Like, I don't think this is somebody, trying to get some weird propaganda in front of people, especially knowing that the director is French. I think this is maybe just, another culture's sort of generalized perspective and just sort of using those elements to kind of build a story. I don't think there was, like, I think they had the best of intentions here with what they were trying to say. It just, it went awry for me on so many levels. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe you were right, Michelle. Maybe the way I'm talking about this, I think maybe my score needs to be a 2 and not a 3.
Good. I'm glad I got you to lower your score. Mine will stay at a 3. The parts where he is just a mysterious sniper, all of that, despite not thinking Alice is a very likable character, I still, during those parts, was kind of rooting for her and kind of still in it. And I thought, even though she was making some dumb decisions, I was interested in all of that. Basically, the parts where she's not interacting with the walkie-talkie, I am fine with. But oddly enough, like you said, it kind of seems like they were trying to throw a lot of like, oh, who is it? It could be anybody, into the idea of this sniper guy. But the more that he talked and the more he became like his reasonings became less known, the less I cared. It was kind of the
Right.
opposite, where if he had been more of a silent guy and we never figured out anything, that would have been preferential to me than him saying so much and arguing with her constantly.
Yeah,
And
and
I
there
just
was
don't get
also
it.
that moment where it felt like they were trying to make him almost like an anti-hero in a way, with that scene where he finally gets her to open up and talk about, like, there's that quote where she's like, I'm not having an affair because I'm in love, I'm having an affair because I'm in pain. And she has that big emotional moment. Like, is that what I'm supposed to take from this? Is like, yeah, this guy is an insane murderer, but also he did this thing, and he definitely got her to open up in a way that she maybe needed to really badly. I don't care. He's a fucking killer. I'm sorry. I just don't. So all of that was just, yeah, and like, ooh, who is he? What's his motivation? It's so much that I just, yeah, I agree with you. I wish this had stayed just a much more mysterious, like, dude, on the billboard. Speaking of the billboard, what did you think
I
of
love the
that?
billboard. I
Yeah,
I thought that that was I don't know. I don't think like the message I could have cared too much about. They could have had like a cow on that billboard, but just the way that it's so bright against such a back foreboding background, and they know that's where he is, but they can't see him, and the brightness kind of would make that harder as well. So despite being very lit up, he's impossible to see. I loved every time that they were like, "Fuck, we know he's up there." But we cannot see him. He can't be anywhere else. So despite this being a very bright beacon out there, I it's not helpful to me. I really, really like that choice. And they could have had the "We Do Cows" billboard that we have on our interstate in the
that's
area,
actually
and it would
part
have
of
been
what I
like
want
nice.
to. So that's my follow up question. Then, what does it say on the
Mhm.
billboard?
God is nowhere.
Or does it say God is now here?
Ooh.
Or does it say both things?
Ooh, I thought it was just somebody who's bad at graphic design.
Right? Right?
It
Yeah.
well is oh man, is that the
It
story? Is
didn't
that God?
register with me
Is that
right away
God?
because I also immediately assumed God is nowhere. But it's such a bright, happy billboard. And I was like, that's so. Like, who would put up a billboard that just says God is nowhere?
Are
And
we
that's when it hit
jaded?
me. I was like, well, it might also say God is now here.
We
And
might be
that
jaded.
clearly was intentional, right? Like, especially with him being on the billboard and him being this sort of toxic male, sort of aggression, sort of thing in a way. And then also just this existentialist nightmare of God is nowhere. I thought that was actually really interesting. I liked that. I thought it was clever
Mhm.
because, like I said, I immediately went to the existential dread, God is nowhere, sort of Nietzsche, God is dead kind of thing, right? And it was halfway through the fucking movie before it occurred to me that it might be anything else,
I never thought that it was anything else. And I think
right?
that's because I'm the type of crazy person who'd be like, I have billboard buying money. Let's just put something out there to cause anxiety. It's the kind of thing that I would do of just like, you're gonna die alone is all I would put on a billboard in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere. And people would be like,
All
what the fuck?
Another thing about this, that again, I was really worried about, but I think they handled it really decently. I was real anxious once that kid showed up. I was like, man, what are they going to do here, and what's going to be the point of it when they do it? Ultimately, I am really glad that the kid survived. I think it's interesting also. I mean, it adds a level, at least to some extent, that it becomes very clear that the killer was not going to kill the kid. Even though, before the Alice comes back and attacks him. But again, we get into that moment where Alice is suddenly like freaking out and has his head under the crusher, and frankly, they like the way they're showing the kid just kind of staring. Granted, the kid is staring at horror at watching a dude get his head crushed by a hydraulic lift. But I think there's also, it felt to me like they were also trying to have her sort of looking in horror now at Alice, who she just a moment ago thought was the person who was trying to keep her safe. And that again felt to me like they were trying to push this idea of, oh, well, there's bad people and monsters on all sides of the fence. And I'm just like, yeah, but fuck that guy. He showed up and started killing people. Like, she did what she thought she had to do to save everybody, right? And yeah, it's going to traumatize that fucking kid, but that trauma is the sole responsibility of that fucking asshole on the billboard with the gun. And I don't understand why they would be trying to push that idea. Maybe it's just something that I'm reading into it that they didn't intend to be there so heavily, but I don't know. It really felt like that was an idea they were trying to push, and those parts really pushed me away from everything else that was going on in this.
Had the same reaction, actually, where I thought that they chose such a brutal death to try to make her seem like kind of like, oh, she's equally a monster. And no, I didn't buy it either. And right before that moment, he has kind of like what is supposed to be a tender moment with a child of telling her, you don't have to be scared anymore. Like, she does. Yes, she
Yeah,
does.
yeah, she does.
You still killed her grandparents. You
Yeah,
still like caused like, of course she's gonna be scared. Are you kidding
she's
me?
fucking traumatized for the rest of her life the moment you killed her
Exactly.
grandparents, you fucking maniac.
Exactly. So the introduction of the kid didn't really make sense to me. And then with the way that they
Michelle,
end the movie, yeah,
I was so fucking worried that he was gonna kill that kid, or that
I
that
would have
kid was
preferred it.
gonna die somehow. I was so fucking
Would have loved
worried
it. Kill the
because
kid.
this,
I thought
frankly,
this was gonna be edgy. I was hoping. Kill the kid.
yeah. Here's where it really set in for me is because he asks her like, will you give yourself to save her life? And she's
Yeah.
like, yeah. And he's like, okay, tell her to get out of the car and run. And I thought
Hmm.
that was where it was gonna happen, and I was just like, oh, what the fuck are they doing? And I'm so glad they didn't do it. In any way at all. Like, I'm glad the kid survives. Because again, like you said, the kid's gonna be a fucking mess from the moment you shot her grandpappy, right? Never mind that then you killed her grandmother as well. Like, she watched her granddad's head explode. It's sorry. She's there's no going back from that.
She
So
watched her grandfather get shot, her grandmother get shot, and then her grandfather reach for his wife as his last dying moment and then get shot again.
yeah,
Yeah, you already fucked her up potentially worse than death.
yeah.
Like,
So
I don't get
you
how that
don't
was
need
supposed
to
to be a
be
tender
scared
moment later.
anymore. Give me a fucking break. She'll never
You're
not
gonna
be
come
scared
live with
ever
me.
again. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
That girl
she's
will
gonna be
never
petrified of
not
gas
be scared.
stations. She's
Oh,
never going to go into a gas station ever again. Do you know
never.
how hard her life is going to be? She's
Oh,
not going to be able
brutal.
to drive. She can't fill up her tank. Gas stations are everywhere. Have
Couple
you
of
ever noticed
small.
how many gas stations there are? They're
There
so
are.
busy.
Speaking of gas stations, couple of small
Oh
things I
no.
noticed about this that I want to talk about. Did you see the gas prices on the fucking price sign outside this gas station?
I did not. What were they?
There were three prices. Your cheap gas, your middle gas, and your expensive gas. And then there was actually a fourth one below that I assume was the diesel, but it was in a bright yellow color and I couldn't really make it out. But here were the three gas prices: $6.85, 7:05 and 7:15. Where the fuck is this? Because
Phoenix.
don't get me wrong. I mean, we pay more for gas than ever in my fucking life, but I have never paid $7 a gallon for gas. Where is this happening?
Phoenix.
Phoenix, Arizona?
Yeah, I could tell that this was definitely Southwest America. I would be surprised if it wasn't because I was like, that is New Mexico and Arizona, and those prices I barely budgeted because
I
I was
was
like,
going to
yeah,
say, are they
middle of
really paying
nowhere in
that
the
much for
mountains,
gas down there? Am I that out of touch with what's going on in other
in
places in
the
America?
middle of the mountains, they can do what they want.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I saw those prices and I was just like, wait a minute. Like, it didn't even fully register right away, but then I was like, I gotta fucking wind this back. What did that fucking sign say?
I
Holy shit.
also have no concept of the price of anything. So, I mean, maybe their average prices are $2 down there. I have no idea. I don't remember the last time I looked at a gas price now that I think about it. Like, I don't remember the last time I checked. Like, my car needs gas. It doesn't matter what it costs. I'm stuck paying it. I just never look anymore
That's fair.
because I'm like,
I
oh,
rarely
it'll
look
just make me
anyway.
sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, I'm
One other
sad.
thing that I did want to point out about this that was a little bit of an issue for me, but ultimately not so much. It was more of just a nitpick. Um, this guy's ability to use like his sniping ability like seems to vary, like how good of a shot he is seems to vary based on what they need to happen in the scene. Like there are times where he is just fucking crack shot, right? Like when he fucking blasts her cell phone through the door from the billboard right as she's reaching
Yep.
out for it. She throws a bag of chips up in the air and it's up there for like half
Yep.
a second and he blasts it. And then there's the time where she's running away from the car right out in broad light of the canopy in open space. And this fucking military sniper pops off like 15 shots or whatever and barely gets her in the leg with the last one? Come on.
I did have to Google gas prices, by the way, and
Yeah.
they're only around 5.50. So to
Yeah.
me, that's
Fucking
basically
where are these guys
$7.
buying this gas?
That's basically $7. So
Oh. And then also, here's a question that I was just reminded of by some of the pictures on IMDb. Why did he just let her put all those umbrellas up? When
I
she put
know, right?
when
He
she
knows
put
where
the
she
first
is.
one up, he knows where she is. Why didn't he just pop
Yeah.
through that umbrella? There are little things like that yeah. I mean, again, the more I talk about it, the more I definitely want to give this a 2. So I'm glad we did that.
I
Again,
thought they were
like
gonna do a bonkers reveal that he was the husband
yeah,
or the
I did
boyfriend.
think that.
I was
Also,
so worried.
like what's the point of like? It seems like they were trying to drive something home because she's like why the fuck is she so obsessed with seeing this dude's face? Because that really felt to me like the only moment where there was any suggestion that this was in any way about. Like, I definitely got the impression through the entire movie that this was just a fucking crackpot and it had nothing. Like, he has that line right at the end where he's like, oh, maybe my husband or maybe your husband hired me to kill you, or maybe I'm just some psychopath. I think he was just some psychopath, and I never at any point whatsoever thought this guy was specifically there to specifically kill her was any part of this story.
Especially because they show up and the gas station attendant is already dead. They did have the gas leaking out of the car and the guy insisted that he had filled it the night before, so they kind of implying this guy had already shot out the gas
Right.
tank to like make them stop. Like
Okay.
it's so, but it would have been so convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that they never solidified that, but it is again just another thing of like, who is this guy? Where we I think it's meant to leave you
May have just
questioning that kind of
out-clevered
stuff, but like,
themselves.
ugh, yeah. Because it
Yeah.
does seem like, oh, he's out of gas because he didn't fill it, or he did fill it last night, but now he has a hole in the tank. And so they knew he would have to stop here because they knew the route that he was going to take. to get to the fertility clinic.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's just a little too convoluted for
Yeah,
me.
that's a level that I didn't read here, so I'm glad you pointed that out. That's okay.
I'm not glad I pointed it out. Yeah.
And again, I want to be clear. This is just rating from my experience on the movie. I do think it was well made. The tension moments are fucking great. Typically, I'm not a big gun scares, like gun violence thriller kind of person. It's a big part of why the Purge movies don't work for me very well. But this I thought was really effective, and I have to be honest with you, this is like a very specific personal anxiety situation. Like for those sequences where she's just like hiding behind a thing waiting to get shot at, that's the thing that I'm very terrified of. Sometimes I'm just like, oh fuck, wouldn't it be wild if somebody just started popping off with a gun in here? That was really getting to me specifically. Those sequences really well done.
If somebody just started popping off with a gun in a gas station at 3 in the morning and be like, oh, finally, please take me. I am ready for the next world.
Oh, Michelle, you're not that goth.
Not yet. I'm going through
yet.
my goth phase in my mid-30s. It's not a phase, Dad.
It's
I'm
not
gonna
a
get some
phase.
piercings. I would love more piercings, but I can't. My
Paint your
skin
face
rejects
white.
jewelry. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what my foundation is anyway, because I'm pale AF. Yeah.
It's a whole culture based on the aesthetic of Edward Scissorhands.
That's me. Just
Oh,
my
Lord.
entire personality based off Johnny Depp with Scissorhands.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, guys,
Well, I
that's
think it's clear
I
we
don't
have
have
nothing
much.
more to say.
I don't have much else to say about this movie, Michelle. Do you?
No, I just want to get back to reading my book.
Wait, reading your book. I thought you were watching Friday the 13th Part 8. Jason
You
Takes
know I
Manhattan.
multitask. Yeah. I'm halfway through Friday the 13th, part 8, and then I'm also reading Out Here Screaming, whatever the
At the
Jordan
same
Peele book is.
time?
Yeah. Do you think I'm going to devote my full attention to Jason part 8? No.
Well, I guess say goodnight, Michelle.
Hang on, I feel so judged right now. Jason Part 8 does not deserve 100% of my attention. It deserves like 40%, and 60% is on my book. And the book is scaring me more than any movies have recently. It should just be 100% towards the book. You're right.
I was just
I'm a
trying to
multitasker.
engineer a weird moment, Michelle. That's all I was
know,
trying
it
to
works.
do.
Don't
and
judge
you
me.
ruined it. You
I
ruined
have
it.
too much media to consume. I watched a movie on 2 times speed on Netflix earlier because I just wanted it to be over. The Strangers from 2008,
You know, you could
which
just
I still
stop
dislike.
it and not finish it if it's that bad, right?
No, because then what if there is a good moment?
A single good moment is not worth all those other bad moments, Michelle.
No, I'd already seen it, so I had to see it again and see if there was anything I was missing. And there was 30 minutes till the end, and Liv Tyler was just crying so much. But I just had to like keep it on just in case. I
That's
still
fair.
didn't like it. I'm sorry, I ruined it. For the record, I do not do that very often where I fast forward through movies. Even less often, I turn them off. I do try to give enough attention to provide a judgment of things.
Well,
but, oh God, she was
I'm
just
so
crying
fucking
so
old
much.
that the concept of watching a movie at 1.5 or 2 times speed is something that doesn't ever even occur to me. Like I will completely forget that that's even an option the moment we're done recording this episode, because
Wow,
it's
that's
just
how I
never
watch all
been
my
a part
YouTube
of.
stuff.
It's never been a
Yeah.
part of my my existence. So I just never. It never registers. It came so late in my development of how I do things.
Interesting. That's how I do all my YouTube videos, unless it's like a short film, but I watch a lot of like documentaries and shit where I don't need to spend full
That's
amount
wild.
of time. Make this shorter. I can't wait until directors just decide to make the choice of like, people don't have time for this shit and they just make it 2 times speed. Like this movie would just be 45 minutes. That would be great. Can't wait for those days to come up.
Instead of doing that, you know what they could do? Just fucking trim the fat out of their scripts and make shorter movies.
It will be shorter when it's 2 times speed.
Right,
This
but
movie on 2x speed would be hilarious.
it'll still be way too. Oh God, how are we still talking this far into the episode?
I don't know. Okay,
Guys,
we
thank
can
you.
be done. We can be done.
Thank you, by the way, for sticking with us through Spooktober with all of our shorts. We're almost to the end. We got 3 weeks down. We got one more full week and then a couple of days left to go. What's the new release next week, Michelle?
The new release is Hell House LLC on Tuesday, which I'm very excited about. And When Evil Lurks is our Friday release, which I've heard
it's
such
not
good
this
things
coming
about.
Tuesday, Michelle. It's not this coming Tuesday. It's next
Yeah,
Tuesday, the 31st.
I know. Next Tuesday would be the 31st to me.
No, next Tuesday
This
is the
upcoming
24th.
Tuesday. No, that's only 4 days away. Next Tuesday would be 11 days away.
That's an interesting way to perceive time, but that's
This
okay.
This Tuesday is the upcoming one. Next Tuesday is the one after the upcoming one.
See, to me, this Tuesday and next Tuesday are the same Tuesday because this coming Tuesday is the next Tuesday.
Well, you're wrong. Hashtag girl math. Okay, say goodnight, JD.
Good night, JD. We Watch Shudder is a production of Rat Factory Media, your home for all of today's Rat Factoryist podcasts. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests of We Watch Shudder are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Rat Factory Media. But wait, aren't Rat Factory Media and We Watch Shudder the same people? Shut your cake hole, Charlie. Nobody asked you. We Watch Shudder is available free on all major podcast platforms, and the easiest way to support We Watch Shudder is also free. Just leave a rating and review on your platform of choice. Merge your consciousness with ours on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We're at We Watch Shudder on all those social media platforms. Or find us the old-fashioned way, on the web at WeWatchShudder.com or by email at mail@WeWatchShudder.com. Heck, you can even leave us a voicemail at 701-566-9510. No, seriously, 701-566-9510. Try it if you dare.